Welcome back to our Human First CEO series. My name is Nick Maida, CEO of Gainsight, and it's been a total honor for me over these last few months to be able to meet with CEOs that I admire who look at their companies not just in terms of bottom line success, but success for all stakeholders. And that's what Human First leadership is all about. With me today, super excited to have Heather Brunner, CEO of WP Engine, somebody I've gotten to know over the last few years and really admire, not just as an amazing business person, but also an amazing leader of people. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you so much, Nick. It's such an honor to be here. Right back at you. I love how you lead, how you communicate with your team, and the spirit that you bring out into the tech community around leading from a human first perspective. So I'm stoked about being here with you today.
That's awesome. And we got human first from different vantage points. Heather's in Austin and got that Texas Austin flair, and I'm in California, but we have a common theme, which is we're passionate about all the human beings in our community, whether it's the employees in our company, the families of those employees, the customers, the community around us, and of course our investors as well. But how do we make all of them successful? That's what we're going to talk about. But first, we want to get to know you, Heather, as an individual, because you're a human being too, and you are humanly confined to a very small amount of space over the last few months, and I'm sure it's been a lot of development for you. What are you actually looking forward to doing the most once all this quarantine stuff lifts in 2030 or 2040 when this is all over? Just kidding.
Gosh, well, I cannot wait basically for me, it's just like to come back with my team. One of the key cornerstones of our culture is having like big all hands meetings at each of our big offices. And we have like info sessions and trainings and, karaoke and, big parties. And one of the things we're kind of known for is having a big like dance party. So I can't wait till I can dance with my team.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. My team has seen me dance. They probably wouldn't want to have that happen again, but I feel the energy of what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, usually the lights are really low. People can't really see. You're just in melee, just having a good time. So
that's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah.
So how about you, Nick? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I've mentioned this a couple of times that I'm embarrassed to say that I am looking forward to business trips again. And I find myself missing United Airlines, that shows you how wrong 2020 is, that somebody could actually miss United, miss sitting in that window seat on the red-eye flight and landing at 1 a.m. and going to the Courtyard by Marriott in like New Jersey and having dinner in the pantry of the Courtyard. And but somehow that routine is part of, I'm a Pavlovian animal by training. So I love the time I'm having at home, but I would love to get out and see people again. So
Me too. I hear you. There's nothing like that time to think and plan on the airplane. So I'm right there with you. But yeah, and just being able to kind of, again, be in person with our customers, with our team. Can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for now, we've got video. So let's use the video to get to know each other better. So we'll talk about success for each stakeholder group. So we're going to talk about success for the community around us. And we're going to talk about success for teammates, talk about success for our customers. Obviously, I'm very passionate about that. And then talk about success. How does that all add up to success for our business and for our shareholders? And if you're watching on LinkedIn Live, feel free to put in comments or questions into LinkedIn, and we'll try to get them as we go. So let's talk about the community, because I think 2020 is the year that every business realized that we don't exist in vacuums, right? Whether you think of health or justice or just safety, anything else, we exist in a larger community. And I think, WP Engine's been thinking about this for a long time. You have this mission of Engine for Good, which is a super cool way to talk about it. And so maybe you can talk a little about that mission and also how that's helped you this year.
Yeah, totally. So for us, I totally agree. I think for us, like we have a core value around being built to last. And one of the key phrases of it is making what's important to our employees important to us. And I think, it's really important in these times. People want to work for a company that has integrity, that's a part of that feels tied to the community and that wants to, both lead and also to give back. And so, we last year really launched and kind of said, hey, we're doing all these really great things. And let's just kind of pull that together under this kind of this overarching umbrella of Engine for Good. And it has really 3 pillars to it. And the first one is around open future. We are a WordPress expert. We are, inextricably tied to the success of the WordPress community. And so for us, open future means really about how do we fuel and help to give back to open source. So for example, in WordPress, there's 5 for the future. So it's really kind of a concept of giving 5% of your time or treasure, whatever you can, towards back to WordPress. So we are very actively involved in doing that. We've contributed through our thought leadership, publications, sponsorships, and we've committed 97 hours per week to give back towards WordPress. So for us, that's kind of one way, is thinking about what fuels you, what communities fuel you, and for us also the developer community, making sure that developers around the world look to us as a source of free and valuable technology that help them build and create incredible websites. And then hopefully through discovering that, they may consider using our paid products. But for us, we want them to associate WP Engine with excellence and that we're giving back. And then our next pillar is really around open doors. And so for us, it's really important as an organization that we are a place that people feel can be a pathway into a technology career. So we've really opened up the aperture around allowing people without a college degree, allowing people with perhaps not a traditional background in technology to apply for and to get jobs in our sales organizations, technical support, marketing, earning, different types of internships, collaborating with reskilling programs, academies, and things like that to really open it up. And then we also are, very much believe in being in a workplace where, equal pay for equal work. And so we're not asking people for their, previous salary history, because we believe that sometimes keeps people on behind, particularly women and people of underrepresented backgrounds. And so we've just been doing a lot of different things just to make sure that we have open doors to all. And with that, now 1/3 of our organization doesn't have a college degree.
Wow.
And 35% of our organization identifies as being an ethnicity other than white Caucasian. So really proud of 1,000 people globally to have that kind of open door. And then the third tenet of our Engine for Good is open hearts. And this is really a view for us to how do we give back to causes and just, I would say kind of like initiatives and things that are happening, movements that are happening that are important to our customers, or to our employees, but also to our customers, but particularly to our employees. So, in a lot of organizations I've been a part of throughout my history in technology, is kind of like a tops down, the CEO is on the board of XYZ nonprofit, or they're the fundraising chair of, the ballet or whatever. And then all of a sudden, there's this kind of pressure from the top for employees to participate in those things. And we've always taken a grassroots approach. We've said, what's important to you as employees, those are the things we want you to fuel, and that we're going to back you. And now as we've had more success as a company, we're able to do things like matching those dollars in generosity of our employees. So year to date, through the things that we've been doing, we've already, our 1,000 employees have already given, and we've matched $220,000 of employee-led charitable contributions.
Wow.
So that's a little bit about, kind of our Engine for Good.
That's amazing, Heather.
Thank you.
It's so inspiring. And I just want to maybe capture a couple of things from my own notes. I think one thing I love is how you've integrated it into your company mission. So it's not, some people have the company, and then over here we do a little bit of charity every now and then, or right. The company and we do a D&I project or something. And you've sort of tied these things together. And I think as a CEO, that's inspiring, because if it's all just not integrated, it doesn't feel authentic. And then the second thing is just huge kudos to you for the a focus on not requiring a college degree. I've been thinking about that, how much of a barrier that is, of people of so many backgrounds in economic, who didn't have the same privilege economically and things like right. that. And the reality is where you went to college or whether you went to college has no effect on what you're doing in your career. It shouldn't have any effect, and yet it's a barrier for so many people. So
it is. And I think it's for us around kind of basic, we have people all the way at the VP level. I think some of these people it's just going to be for, entry level, it's no, it's across the company. There's been people who've been perhaps in other careers or held back from, kind of going into technology because, and I just to be really honest, for so much of my career, I was part of that problem.
Me too.
I was no, we have to have top talent. Top talent means the top 10% of school graduates. Right. It means the top 10% of it. And for me coming to WP Engine, it was a real wake up and kind of coming into a team. When I joined the company in 2013, and we were about 40 people, already about a third of the team didn't have a college degree, and they were scrappy people, and entrepreneurs who were developing in WordPress and building agencies and freelancing and things. And then they were attracted to coming to the mission of helping to really create a really cool platform for WordPress to, scale and grow it. And they were killing it and doing great jobs. And they were, so it's like, it opened my eyes around kind of the whole thing around really open source, and that open communities, and that we then need to, operate with those open doors. And so, I'm a convert, and I can tell you that if you, I could just tell you, 100%, please consider it. Please consider it, and you will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you just get access to so many more people. It
Absolutely.
Helps your business. And you're totally right. If it's the open source ethos, I mean, that really resonates. The other thing that I think your team's done a good job of is your technology itself is very helpful in this challenging time we have, where the SMBs small businesses have to move to digital. Talk a little bit about how you've been trying to help there.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we saw, we're very blessed, and I know I think you feel the same way, Nick, to be in a business where, despite this incredible challenge of the global pandemic, for us to see it really a drive for, an interest and acceleration for our business, because we are I would say a very economical, low cost way to power your digital vision. Through the power of open source, through the power of a whole community of tools and technologies that that surround WordPress, and then to have a partner like WP Engine, where you can very easily have access to free tools, and as well as bundled things like how you might have themes or packages to do things very quickly, but then have all the control and flexibility of owning your site versus being dependent upon perhaps a proprietary platform with a lot of other kind of WYSIWYG site builders. And so for us, what we've found is that whether you're a small business saying, I'm a church and I need to start broadcasting services, or I'm a fitness instructor or yoga studio chain, and I've got to start, broadcasting digital, basically virtual classes, all the way up to seeing some of our larger enterprise customers moving more of their digital workloads to WP Engine because it's more cost effective and they can do it, they can move faster. And so that's what we've seen is during this time is that, we feel really proud to be, I feel like a really good value player for businesses of all sizes to really leverage WordPress with confidence and be able to move fast, because that's what's happening right now. You have an idea, you have an internal, you need to create an intranet because of COVID, or an intranet because of something that's happening, or you're going to have to take your event digital because before you had it offline. You've got to think fast, and who are going to be a partner where you have tools, technologies, and the service. You can just go bring it all to life. So that's really been playing to our strengths, and we're proud to be kind of being able to be that type of partner to our customers.
What an exciting opportunity to show your team the impact that your business has too, because like small businesses right now, they need help, and so that's a good segue, I think, to talk about the team, because I think we all want to drive success for our teammates. I know you're super passionate about that, and I think one of the comments I heard a little bit from you recently was that this digital world does create a little bit more of an equalizing sense amongst employees, knowing that there's still privilege and some of us have more than others, but there's a little bit more equality because we're all sitting behind a screen. Talk a little bit about that and how that's played out for your team.
Yeah, well, one dimension of equality that I've really seen is I kind of mentioned this before, like we're very much, I would say, like we love to be together. So like we very much are kind of like an extrovert, and of course we have lots of introverts, and you've got some, Vulcan, personality all the way to the, we got the whole spectrum, we're 1,000 people globally, but we love to be together. We like to have fun. We like to collaborate and all those things. And so, but with that, we also have a very, sizable portion of our organization that are really high impact employees that don't live near an office, that have been quote unquote remote.
Yes.
And so we have where everyone's digital and everyone has that. And it's like, it really opened my eyes. And I realized wow, how backwards I had been around not embracing asynchronous communication, not embracing channels. I had to change. I mean, this is, to admit, like, I was not using things like Slack. I was using other community kind of intranets and things like that for communication. And I just realized I've got to go to where everybody is. I've got to go where the action is. And the action is on things like Slack. And I've got to be much more communicative. But I think just in terms of like how I'm communicating videos, daily, weekly updates, how we're changing the format of our weekly town hall, how we're changing the format of things like our culture awards that we do every quarter. So it's kind of like was like an equalizer around, as CEO in terms of leveling, like how we communicate. Like we all have to like get to a place where we need like meet the needs of the employee versus the other way around. And then I think the other big thing I would just say is it's been an equalizer is I think it's been very eye-opening for a lot of our team members who are parents, and people, and particularly I think our male employees, for them to recognize the challenges of balancing work and childcare, and balancing that with school. And I think it's been a great equalizing moment around, wow, this is like a team sport.
Yeah.
And was I really rising up to my side of the team? Yeah. And so I think that's another dimension. So those are just some of the things that come to mind around, really flattening communications, really appreciating the fact that employees can be anywhere and should be equal citizens in the conversation. And then also that balance around, my role as both a parent and also as a leader.
That's so honest and so well said. And I feel that both points, and the remote one is such a great point. I mean, we've all been in those meetings where like a bunch of us are in a conference room, we're all talking, we're laughing. The person on the call can't even hear. Are they laughing are they laughing at me? Are they laughing at the joke? We didn't see the slides. And so, we've found the same thing, Heather, because we've always been reasonably distributed, but there's a difference between, some people working at home and some people in the office and everyone being at home. And I feel like that's definitely allowed us to engage in a more equal way. And I think we're all finding our footing of what does the future look like, once the world comes back. How do we not lose some of this that we have,
Exactly. I feel like some of our large format meetings, which were so high energy, have gotten even better because they're more interactive.
Totally.
We have, the chat going on, and we can just say, what do you we just said something. Well, what do you think? What are your questions? We can do that much more real time and have fun with it. Well, at the same time, I still want to get together and see everybody and feed on that energy and have those kind of conversations. But I don't see us going backwards around large format meetings, not being kind of led virtual first, because I think we've kind of like jumped the shark on that.
I totally agree. I love that. And I think the meetings are much more inclusive because people can they can chat if they don't want to speak up. And it's a little bit easier for the voices that aren't as extrovert like I might be to still go up, and I, by the way, I did vote with my wallet. I said, okay, we're always going to have some version of this. So I bought myself a nice, one of these TVs that has like Zoom built in and and a whiteboard and all that for my home. Cool. So I'm like, I'm going to be doing these.
For SKU package.
Say it again.
I said I need to get the Nick made us set of SKUs.
I'll get you the recommendation. It's pretty cool. It's actually this big TV. I can kind of touch screen and all that. So cool. The other thing that I think we've all had to do during this downturn is lead our teams and help think through how to keep them inspired, how to educate them. I feel like as leaders we've grown so much this year, and so when you talk to your teams, I know you grew up in consulting and you learned so much in consulting, kind of moving up the ranks. What any tips you've been sharing with your team and your leaders this year?
Yeah, well, one of the things I think just I always say is transparency is the currency of trust. And it's just so important to just be really real with people. Like, if people know when you're telling the truth, or, they know, if they just want to they can sense, they want you to just like tell them what's straight. And there's been a lot of really, I know this is probably for you, like a lot of really hard things that we've had to go through in this last 6 months since March, when we kind of went into battle formation on, March 9th, March 10th, we just had to tell my leaders, like, you've got to just be real with people. We got to tell them what we know, what we don't know, and just keep that. We got to keep a really consistent drumbeat. I think the other thing is I always say is like kind of like the four V's of you always, just reinforcing vision, your core values. What does victory mean? Victory could change because of circumstance or condition, but people need to know what is victory. Totally. And then, also vulnerability, so that you're always operating from a place of vulnerability. So I think for us, like when we first got into the battle formation, it was all about protect the house, protect the house, protect the house. And so that was our rallying cry. And therefore we had very specific things. We said, these were the things we were doing. Now we're not doing these things. We're doing these things differently. And we're stopping these things such that we can protect the house. And just having to reinforce that and share the why behind it was really important. Then from a standpoint of vulnerability is that we're all now having to share a lot more and be a lot more flexible. And I think if our leaders are operating from a place of being real and human about what's happening with their families, how are they feeling? I'm doing updates a couple times a week on a Slack channel that I just kind of post things like, these are just like thoughts from Heather. Like, this is what's on my mind today. It could be something about the business, it could be something about something that's happened. My family, my husband's family has had, really, really terrible time with COVID. I've had, my husband's had 12 members of his family have COVID. And so we had, thank you. Yeah, but it was a very nerve-wracking time. And so just sharing those things with the team and just saying, hey, I'm just like you. I'm a human, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, a daughter-in-law, and I'm dealing with these things, and I'm with you, but I've got your back and I know you've got mine. And I think being real like that and being vulnerable, and being like, I would say human first, in terms of us recognizing that we are all, parents and, wives and husbands, et cetera, first, and also, but we're also leaders. And so how we bring that all together. So those are some thoughts around what I've been telling. I'm always going to be focusing people on focus on what you can control.
I love that. And
you can control your attitude and stay positive.
I really just all of that, it really resonates. And I just say as a takeaway, people talk a lot about vision and values. I like the idea of the victory and the vulnerability. Those all fit well together. Thanks for being vulnerable yourself.
Of course. So I know you, one of the things I saw recently, you had this tweet about, leadership is not easier or, harder. It's just really about leadership's getting more meaningful. So maybe talk a little bit about your thoughts on that concept.
Totally. Yeah. The basic idea was not to depress any entrepreneurs, but my experience is that it's very hard in the early days and it's still hard and it's hard forever. And I think especially if you care a lot, it just never stops being hard, but at least the impact you can have is bigger and it's more meaningful. So as an example, the impact you can have when 30% of your employees don't have a college degree and that's 300 plus people. That's different than when you were 40 people at WP Engine, right, in the beginning. And so I feel like that is the thing I try to take solace in is it's always hard. It never gets easier, but like you can feel those sense of meaning, like in my world, one of the things that I've been, felt proud of is that we're kind of fomenting this new career of customer success. And we've been the champions of it. And there's, hundreds of thousands of people out there who have CS jobs and that feels awesome.
Absolutely.
So
that's wonderful.
You got to find that meaning so you can keep focused when you see Snowflake going public and be worth $70 billion, whatever. So,
well, I think you're doing a great job, Nick, on social about really being real, both as a CEO and as an entrepreneur, and just as a leader around sharing just insights and just kind of asking for ideas and help. I think that's awesome and something that other people and I know that I get a lot of inspiration from.
Well, thanks for saying that. So, I just switch to my third topic and the one I have to talk about every time, which is customer success, as I have my books here. I think WP Engine, we work with your team, a great team in terms of focus on customer. There's two concepts I've heard you talk about that I think would be great to have you talk to the audience about. This idea of knowing the hero customer, who that is, and then kind of your company value being customer inspired. So maybe you could talk a little bit about how that plays out at WP Engine. Yeah,
sure. So first for us around our hero customer, for us as a company that, we're serving everyone from, a small freelancer who's cashed out their 401k and they're trying to build a small digital agency and live, kind of have this kind of entrepreneurial dream all the way up to some of the world's largest brands like, Uber, Campbell's, Marriott. And so we have a very wide spectrum. And as we've grown, one of the things we have found is that it was very easy for us to start to get peanut butter spread. And so one of the things we've been on this very conscious journey to basically say, to be declarative that no, every product has to have a hero size of, like a segment, size of customer, and a hero type, persona or customer for that. We can maybe attract with that product other sizes of companies or other personas, but we need to make sure that we're going to just delight that one. And that's brought a lot of energy and focus, because I felt like we were like trying to do everything with everyone in a fast growing business. And it was really starting to kind of wear us down. So kind of going back to our roots, like when, Jason Cohen was founding WP Engine and he went out and interviewed, 50 WordPress developers to help him shape the company. And he offered to pay every single one of them their hourly fee, and none of them wanted any money. They just were so excited that somebody had offered that and was so thoughtful to value their time. And then all of, giving those people, the ability for them to kind of weigh in on product and our roadmap. And so it's kind of like really kind of saying, hey, we got to go back to our roots. Who's buying our products, for what jobs to be done, and let's go delight them. And I think that's been a really great energy source for us and our teams to do that. Then the other thing around kind of having it in our core values, the whole ethos behind customer inspired all builds up to this concept of advocacy, which I know something's really important to you. And so the way I always kind of build out or talk about this customer inspired is this kind of the sense for us in our business. We don't lock customers into any contracts, kind of like, we just, our view is like, we're a monthly recurring business. And so we have to earn and re-earn our customers' business every day. So with that mentality, every interaction matters. And so every interaction is an opportunity to earn your customers, on a journey of earning credibility, to then earning respect, to then earning trust over time. And hopefully, if we do all those things right and we amaze our customers with our service and expertise every day, and we act with integrity and take responsibility when things don't go right, and be humble for the fact that we're earning their business every day, then hopefully we can earn their advocacy. And advocacy is how I define that, is when I'm willing to associate my brand with your brand. Yeah. And so for me, that we have fueled our business based on customer advocacy, referrals, references. To us, over 50% of our business comes referred by an agency partner. And so for us, that's a huge lever for us, is just treating customers that we want to earn their advocacy.
I love that. And, go ahead, sir.
No, I was just going to say, well, how do you think? Tell me a little bit about how you think about that, and how, as you think about the kind of the changes around what's been happening in your business and the changes you're trying to drive in the world around thinking about customer success and elevating it. How do you think things have changed during this kind of COVID and kind of time where this digital first world?
Yeah, well, I'll bridge off what you said first, which is for folks that are in the customer success community watching, I think one of the most important things in customer success is having a persona that you can just totally delight, right? And not just being spread peanut butter thin. You really nailed it, Heather, of like the challenges if you try to be all things to all people. No matter how many customer success people have, no matter how much you throw at them, you'll never be able to drive true delight and advocacy. So I love that. And I think that's timeless advice. That's pandemic or no. I think inside this pandemic, the thing that I've seen the most, and something your team does really well, is this focus on saying, okay, we are right now, there may be a little bit more limit on hiring people. We may not be ramping people as fast, but our customers need more than ever. It's a weird paradox, right? And so therefore, there's never been a bigger time for digital customer success, which is basically things like kind of creating a virtual customer success experience through like very personalized automated emails, or doing messages in your product to kind of guide users to do the right thing. Leveraging what some people call tech touch, high touch, but with technology. That's been the hottest thing right now in this pandemic, because customers need more help than ever. And, we have to find ways to do it without throwing people at it.
Right. Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah. I think for us, like you said, people are wanting to have more things at their fingertips. Yeah, exactly. To discover, to research, to self-solve. And the more you have that insight about what are the customers, whether the jobs to be done, whether kind of their normal work patterns, then you can then be more predictive in how you're serving them and help them to get that, be more efficient and effortless,
Totally.
which takes a lot of thought.
Yeah,
is worth it.
Effortless, yeah. I think a great word to cap. That's what we really need to work for. We did get a question from the audience that I think is pretty relevant for this part. As CEOs, what is the quality we look for in a customer success person? If we had one, I'll go first and give you a second to think about it. For me,
okay, sure.
The one that I value a lot of qualities. Obviously, you want people who are empathetic and organized, and there's a lot of those things. I think the one that really shows through is curiosity. I have some CSMs who genuinely are curious about learning about the client's business and truly want to understand it, and they get excited about learning about businesses. I, for one, am just a total geek learning about WP Engine and learning about Slack, yes, Splunk, and all these companies and how they work and what works and what doesn't. And I think that level of genuine enthusiasm and curiosity, if you have it, it's a big advantage.
I totally agree. I think that's fantastic. The other one I would add on that is I would just call it business acumen. So really understanding the levers of your customer, like how do they win? What does success look like for them in terms of their key KPIs or business financial performance? Or in terms of like, what is, for example, like from a Gainsight perspective, or if you're in a customer service role for whatever your software is, that you actually know what is the business impact that your technology and solution is going to create, and that you're having a conversation with your customer about, are you achieving that result and that outcome? So really that kind of business acumen driving value, because ultimately, there's a lot of software out there.
Yeah.
And if it's not implemented, getting adopted and driving the value, then it's just, then you have, for all of us, in terms of, that risk of retention risk. And right now, every customer matters and every interaction matters, and making sure that our customers are getting the value and we're delivering on that promise.
That's so well said. Yeah, business acumen is something that I think, a lot of people miss. They go straight to the technology and feeds and speeds. So the last chapter of this discussion is about investors and shareholders. We all have investors that allow us to, give us the money and capital to do what we do, and we really appreciate and respect them. And WP Engine is a really interesting case study, because on one hand, you've been such a great example of all the things we've been talking about. I mean, I think everyone pictures it, can get it just from hearing you talk, but your team has won awards for diversity, best workplace in Texas, best workplace by Fortune, great place to work for women. It's really amazing and inspiring. And on the other side, your business has been amazingly successful, 40 people in 2013, and here you are, 1,000 people today. I partnered with a great financial firm for your next phase of your company's journey. How does the company culture and human first and all that fit with being a financial success? Are they two different things? Are they related? How do you rationalize it?
I view it as like them being inextricably tied. So the way I always describe it is, my role, if you think about the MBA definition around what is the role of the CEO. The role of the CEO is to maximize resources to drive enterprise value. Mm-hmm. That would be like the textbook definition. Yep. And I kind of say, well, the way you're going to get there, I always say EV to the power of P. And the power of P is really purpose, because you have to have people who are like our team, wants to see our customers win. They want to see them when they get their website up and going, and that satisfaction of it actually getting traffic and meeting their business objectives, and they're, dialoguing with them about things they want to do. We get hyped up about that. And so and your customers feel that. And so to me, it's we want to create an environment where our employees can come to work and be like, I love the vision. I love the values. I have clarity on victory and what we're doing every day. I can be my true authentic self. And so put me in, I'm going to go freaking delight the customers. And that energy you give your employees comes right through to your customers, comes right through to your products. And then there's that energy exchange. And to me, it's great employee experience equals great customer experience, was going to create incredible financial impact and results, and then of course returns. And so I'm very fortunate that we've had really high growth. We're serving now almost about 150,000 customers globally. incredible, growth and opportunity to, to build and start to launch and kind of build more products for our customers. So again, to me, but it's all inextricably tied. I would say like your core values in action is your culture. And then, then bringing that in with the vision and what is victory. And then that's kind of how you kind of keep everybody aligned and focused on driving financial and business performance. And then hopefully then, as we talked about before, the ability to then have the right to be able to give back to your community, to be able to, to give back to your employees. And then, and then also like for us, a big part for us is giving back to WordPress because it fuels our business.
That's amazing. And I love purpose, and I love me a good equation as well. So EV to the power of P. I'm a definite nerd. So I like the, like putting
it
that? In math terms. You know how to speak.
I gave you the 4 V's and the power and EV to the P.
Oh my gosh. We could write a rap song off of this. That should be fun.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I'm going to close out just in the interest of time. I like to always end these with a fun word association just to leave people with some memories. So I'm going to pick 4 terms that we've talked about, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind when you hear that term. So digital transformation.
Speed.
Okay, great. That's real. COVID-19.
Equalizer.
I hope so. I like that as a positive out of it. Customer success.
Essential.
Okay, I'm biased, but I'll take that one. And then human first.
Evolved.
That might be the next phase of evolution. I hope so. Mm-hmm. I know you were there, so it's so awesome learning from you. I got so many ideas out of this. I hope the audience did as well. So Heather, big thanks to you. Thanks to all of you for watching. Look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you so much, Nick. It was a pleasure.